Hey friends, out here testing and reviewing the best made company straight hold hatchet. Here it is on my belt, next to my Falcon Even F1. I've got it through a Beneath the Stars Leatherworks leather axe holster. Check there, just Google that name, Beneath the Stars Leatherworks. Very, very cool. It's for the grounds for small forest axe, but it fits any axe with a reasonable pole. This is the axe. It's got its leather sheath. My initial impressions were a little bit mixed, so we're out here to test it and see how it goes. The only thing initially that I'm going to call it on is that it just needs a little extra bit of leather here to be able to grab and pull when you open the hatchet. But let's get chopping and we'll see how it is. Stay tuned. I'm going to cut down this dead tree with the best made company straight hold hatchet. I reckon about there would be a good spot. Hatchet sits pretty well on the belt on the Gransfors Brooks purposed small forest axe loop. This is that catch that I was talking about Just a little bit annoying to get off, to really get your finger under there. But you certainly need this on, because otherwise you'll be grazing this while you're walking. Very dead tree. Hear that bark echoing. Doesn't feel like it's much of a match for Aussie hardwoods, to be honest. Although not many axes are, it's definitely a sore tree. You can hear that echoing around the valley. The grip is sound, but it is I'm finding myself needing to readjust. The lacquer is very slick. I'd probably do without that. Spark away. Definitely say it could do with a lanyard loop as well. That security is really, I mean, I know, and this is just as it's come out of the factory, so I am testing it as they sell it. I must say though, probably with the lacquer off will help a bit, but my hand really is migrating down, so I'm starting my hold here and I'm sort of ending up about here and then having to readjust. There we go. Quite a rotten tree, but the Aussie hardwoods certainly do take a bit of a pounding. That was pretty much hollow inside as well. Let's look at the edge and how that held up. So what have we got? We've just got the staining from obviously the redwood, but it still feels fairly sharp. I'm not sure if you can see that. No, I might have to show you later under a spotlight or in a still. There is sort of like a slight roll there, but that's probably from the edge that I put on it. I put a very fine edge on the hatchet because I like them to be shaving sharp. So I didn't really back up a relief edge or anything like that. I just ran it through the work sharp. So probably not the fault of the hatchet, that'd be my fault, but it is still rather sharp from pretty much, that's like the effect of hitting it into almost a rock. Really, those dead Australian redwood trees. Really, really nasty stuff. Well, the next camper that comes along here will have some great camp firewood at any rate. I'm going to get my saw out and we'll do some splitting. Might even split up a little pile for the next camper. Be a nice thing to do. Nope. Go with that crack that's already there. Oh, did connect. Some contact went off to the side. Legs apart so it goes straight through if there's any misses or issues. This is definitely what we call hard use of a hatchet. If the head's going to come loose at any point, it's going to be in activities like this. So we'll just be splitting off some campfire kindling. I feel like there's a knot probably halfway down the wood, which is kind of, I'm sort of making a an amateur Swedish fire torch, kind of just splitting it all right at the top. Alrighto. This is probably the safer and more proper way to split with a hatchet. Let's try this. See, it's all kind of splitting off from there, a bit like a ballerina tutu. So I'll just make what I can with it and give my impressions after. Yep, definitely a big ass knot down this end. Let's try something different. Let's see how we go. Might even try two hands. Got it started. There we go. Well, that was a workout for the little axe, and it has stayed true. Splitting like that is just very difficult when you come up against big ass knots. Yeah, that's the knot right there, and it's just not even accepting the axe. Okay. No. I'm at that point where you just have to stop because you just get a little bit tired, and you can just see myself being on fail army next week with my stupid splitting injury. So, as an overall, it is a good splitter when, I imagine it'd be a lot better splitter when you've got some straight grained wood. But, let's look at the hatchet there. You can see it's got all the scuffs along the side. The edge still sharp, but then splitting doesn't really smash the edge too much. When you're trying to split straight through the knot, it will at first. You might roll it, but it looks like it hasn't rolled. That's the benefit of these softer steels. The handle's held up, and it would have had a fair bit of wood to wood contact just then, but that's fine. That blade shape, probably more inclined for being a splitting axe, I would say. So that did pretty well considering that just abysmal piece of wood that it was up against. Let's sit down for some final thoughts. Alrighty, so how did the Best Made Company straight hold hatchet fare? Pretty well, I must say. Definitely more suited for splitting and more sporadic campfire tasks. This is a heavy hatchet. The head is heavy. It feels almost like a small axe head. And when I was swinging before, especially when I was swinging above chest level, that's when a heavy hatchet really comes into problems, because it's just that much more energy when the blood's above you, when you're trying to pump blood above your heart, and yeah, you feel every extra ounce. I did that few chops with the S-swing, and although, as you saw, it wasn't anywhere near as successful at getting through the wood, because it's so much lighter, you can probably chop for longer. So it's just that balance of how you want to spend your calories, I guess. Chopping more without a sore arm, or getting it done quicker but getting a bit of a fatigued arm during it. Splitting, that was a nasty piece of wood. That wood would have completely fucked the edge of a fixed blade knife. That was just something else. It really does illustrate why hatchets exist and why they'll always have a place, especially in Australia. if I'd got my full flat ground Ontario SP5 and tried to run it through that wood, I think we would have had another cold steel situation on our hands. That was it was like a rock in the in that big knuckle of knottiness. So Hatchet's held up well. Good points. The steel seems to be nice and malleable, and that hasn't chipped or failed or rolled in any way. There is a minor wave in it, but I reckon that's from me running it through the workshop, probably spending a couple of seconds too long, because it hasn't just developed any extra stresses around it, even through all that splitting and extra chopping. So I think that's a Pete boo-boo rather than a best made council tool boo-boo. The head has stayed on. I did remark at the somewhat inelegant way the wedges attached the axe head, just how it's kind of smushed into the eye there. But I guess if it works, it works. And there's a bit of resin in there, so perhaps changing the handle over might have a couple of extra steps, but as it stands, the handle is really fine. And that is another good point. The handle is comfortable to hold, and it is comfortable, and there's a few different grips to use when you do sort of move your hand up and down. Negative points. As I was chopping intensely, which again, it's probably not the best kind of tool to have if you're going to be intensely chopping. You probably want a larger small forest axe. But when I was chopping, my hand migrated down as I got sort of sweaty, and especially as just the friction and just the pressure of it continually hitting the wood, my grip adjusted from starting here to pretty much almost a 3-fingered grip. That's fine. There's two ways you need to fix it, which is either drill a hole and put a lanyard through, which is completely reasonable on a small hatchet like this, or probably take the lacquer off. You could, if you're happy to sort of ugly up your axe a bit, you could probably wrap some duct tape or something, or some hockey tape around the bottom here too, just to cement your hand in place. But apart from that and just that eye are probably the only real negatives I've drawn from this axe. Things like the weight is all just purpose. It's just the purpose of use. So you can't really criticise a hatchet for being heavy, because some hatchets are just heavy hatchets and other hatchets are light hatchets, and that's just, you know, you don't criticise a fixed blade knife that's 9 inches for being too big, because it's a fixed blade knife of 9 inches for those tasks. So the pole, I haven't hammered anything today, but I can't see that being an issue, and I don't think I'm going to worry about it because I'm not really camping here, so I'm not going to be setting up any tent posts or anything like that. But it's definitely a softer steel head, so you can hammer with it without worrying about chipping or anything like that. Just don't hammer it into evenly matched steel, because it'll break. So overall, this is a positive review for this hatchet. Do I like it as much as my small forest axe? Of course not. It's a $250 tool, and it's longer and it's different. But as a hatchet, I like it quite a lot. I'm looking forward to making my own modifications to it, which will be stripping off this lacquer and just putting a linseed oil coat on, or just leaving it unfinished and just letting like my natural hand oils gradually build up sort of the wood finish on it. So looking forward to spending more time with this axe. My initial first impressions have been somewhat put at ease or quelled. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I will probably just run the specs up on a screen just after this video finishes, just all the nitty gritty, and then you can watch my unboxing video for me to see me compare it to some other axes. Okay, well, you all have a nice day, and I'll see you later.